So today we're going to be working on length, looking at length and measuring to the nearest 1/4 inch. And we've done a lot of practice with this in class, and I think it's time for us to get some strategies down to help us. So first of all, measurement is a process. In this case, it's a multi-step process. So I've got a whole bunch of shapes here, and we're going to measure their length, and I'm going to show you step by step how I would do it. So first of all, if I'm measuring the length of this shape from the beginning to end, I'm going to find the farthest point and put just a little end point here and an end point there. And that way, when I get my ruler out, it's going to be really easy. Well, not easy, but it's going to be easier to match it up. A second thing that I did that I would highly recommend for you is to take out a Sharpie and mark where the 1/4 lines or intervals are on your ruler. And the reason why I do that is because sometimes it's hard for kids to see where the 1/4 lines actually stick up. The 1/2s are a little easier, but I mark those too. And I mean, if you're older, if you're in 4th grade or older, you might need to mark your 1/8 with a skinnier Sharpie. So now that I've matched up my 0 mark, make sure you're starting right on the 0 on the first end point, and I'm going to measure the length of it. I want to figure out what intervals to look at. And the first interval that I'm going to look at is my whole inches. So here's my 1 whole inch mark. It's at least 1 whole inch. Here's my 2 holes, and it doesn't go up to the 3. So what I do now is I arc them, and I just show that this is 1 inch and 2 inches. So I've got 2 whole inches already, and I'm going to mark that down right there. And then my shorter 1/4 inch intervals, I'm just going to do smaller jumps. 1/4, 2/4, 3/4. So the answer is 2 3/4 inches. And that's the length for that one. Let's try another one. Let's try this one. Step 1, make my endpoints. Step 2, match up my ruler right on the 0 mark. And step 3, find my 1 inch interval. So here's 1, 2. Oh, look at that. That is pretty close here. It's past the 3. So I'm going to count 1 whole, 2 whole, 3 whole inches. And then how many fourths do I count? This is a close one, but it looks like the end of the line segment is a little bit closer to the 1/4 mark. So I'm going to do a 1/4 jump and say that it's closest to 3 1/4 inches. Let's try another one, just for practice, right? Practice makes better, as Mr. Reimer says. So we've got a leaf here, but I can still measure the length of the leaf. Put my endpoint here and my endpoint here. Match it up on the 0. And first I'll count my 1 inch intervals. There's 1 inch, 2 inches, and does it go past 3? No, it stops before the 3. So first I'll count my 2 full inches. 1, 2. And then I count my, oh look, it stops right here. So 1/4, 2/4, 3/4. 2 3/4 inches is the length. See how that works? So it's really 2 steps. You measure your 1 inch intervals and then your 1/4 inches. This one's a tough little guy. I'll mark my endpoints here and here, making sure that my endpoints aren't too big, because if the dots are too big, then it won't match up on the line segment. Okay, now I'm going to match it up right at the 0 mark as usual. Look at what I have here. This is the 1 inch mark right here. This little shape is less than an inch. So now I'm just going to count by fourths. 1/4, 2/4, 3/4 of an inch is the answer. 3/4 of an inch is the answer. And finally, the last one we'll do is kind of a squiggly shape thing. Here's the end. Here's the other end. And let's measure. Match up my 0 mark right where it's supposed to be. I can tell this one's longer than an inch because this one's the inch mark right here. I can tell that it's longer than 2 inches because that's the 2-inch mark right there. And I'll do my jumps. 2 full, 2 full inches. And then how many 1/4 are there? Well, the shape ends right here, and the 2-inch mark is right here. So I have to do 2 more jumps, and that's 2/4. Okay, so 2 2/4, or, you know, it could also be 2 1/2, because 2/4 is the same as 1/2. So I hope that helped. Remember, measurement is a step-by-step process, and I hope you use some of these strategies. Enjoy.